The story begins with a dream that would end in darkness. Aaron was a bright student from India, filled with ambition and the hunger to do something great. When a message popped up on his phone one night, work abroad, high pay, free visa, he thought his life was finally changing. The sender sounded professional, the website looked genuine, and the opportunity too good to miss. Within days, he was on a plane to Cambodia, his parents proud, his heart full of hope. But what awaited him on the other side was not success. It was hell disguised as a job. As the plane touched down, the warm air of Phnom Penh hit his face. He looked around for the company representative holding his nameplate. A smiling man appeared, polite and calm, guiding him to a van waiting outside the airport. Aaron noticed other young men sitting silently inside, their faces tired, eyes hollow. None of them spoke. The van's doors locked from the outside. That's when his stomach twisted. The city lights faded into long, empty roads. His heart began to race, but it was too late. He was already in the net. Somewhere far from the city, the van stopped before a massive iron gate. Guards stood with guns, faces cold and blank. Arun stepped out, still unsure if this was part of his training. As the gate slammed behind him, he realized something that would haunt him forever. This wasn't a workplace. It was a prison built for the modern world. The building was filled with computers, hundreds of them, glowing like stars in the darkness. Men and women sat typing endlessly, their faces pale under blue light. A supervisor shouted in Chinese, and a few guards walked around holding electric batons. Arun was handed a phone, a list of fake identities, and told, "You'll make people invest, lie, or you don't eat." His heart pounded. It wasn't a job, it was a scam factory, and he had just become a prisoner. Every day began the same. The sound of alarms, metal doors clanging, and the smell of fear. They were forced to scam strangers across the world using fake romantic messages, fake investments, fake hope. Arun couldn't sleep at night. He could hear people crying softly in nearby rooms. If anyone refused to work, they were beaten. And if someone tried to escape, they disappeared. Forever. At night, he would stare at his reflection in the dark screen. "Mom, I'll come home soon," he whispered. But deep inside, he knew. Home was now a dream fading away, pixel by pixel. Arun began to notice things. Scribbled messages under desks, carved names on the walls, desperate notes like "help me" hidden inside drawers. Every message told a story of someone who had come before him and never left. The air was thick with despair. The guards spoke little, but their eyes said everything. No one leaves this place alive. He made friends with a Chinese boy named Wei, who had been trapped for almost a year. Wei whispered, "They take your passport, your phone, your name. You don't exist anymore." The two shared silent promises, to escape or die trying. At night they planned in whispers, memorizing guard shifts, counting the seconds between patrols. Hope became their only weapon, but hope is dangerous in a place built on fear. One morning, a worker was caught trying to send a message to his family. Aaron watched as they dragged him away. His screams echoed through the halls for hours. That sound never left Aaron's mind. It was the sound of freedom being crushed. One evening, while working on scam scripts, Arun noticed something strange. A loophole in the computer system. He could send a short message through a fake account without triggering alarms. His hands trembled as he typed, "Trapped in Cambodia. Fake job scam. Tell the world." He sent it, and prayed someone would see it before it was erased. Days passed. Nothing happened. His heart sank with every minute. The guards grew suspicious. They had noticed extra activity on one of the accounts. They started checking everyone's devices. Aaron's pulse raced as they approached his desk. But just before they reached him, the power went out. The room plunged into darkness. Somewhere in that blackout, Fate had given him one last chance. When the lights returned, the guards left. Arun exhaled, unaware that his single message had already begun spreading, screenshots appearing online, journalists noticing, and embassies beginning to ask questions. A storm was coming. Days later, Arun was taken to a separate room. 2 guards stood by as a man in a suit entered, calm, smiling, and deadly. "So you sent a message?" he asked. Arun's silence was his answer. What followed wasn't words, it was punishment. Hours of beatings, electric shocks, and isolation. He lost track of time, his world reduced to pain and darkness. But even in pain, he didn't break. He whispered Wei's name, told him to survive. The guards didn't know. Arun had already made peace with his fate. His message was out. That was all that mattered. Outside, journalists had begun connecting the dots. "Indian student trapped in Cambodia scam," the headline screamed. Governments were forced to act, but for Arun, time was running out. The man who had once dreamed of a better life now prayed only for one thing, that his story would not die with him. That night, rain poured over the compound. The guards were restless, lightning flashing across their faces. In his dark cell, Arun whispered to Wei, "If we get out, tell my mother I didn't give up." Wei nodded, tears streaming down his face. The door opened. They were being moved. The guards spoke hurriedly, something about cleaning the problem. Outside, thunder roared. Arun stumbled as they pushed him forward, the ground slippery with mud. He could barely stand, but his spirit was unbroken. He looked up at the storming sky, and for the first time in months, he smiled. Freedom, even if it came through death, was closer than ever. The next morning his body was found near the fence, lifeless, rain washing away the blood. But his eyes, they were open, as if still staring at the sky he had longed to reach. Wei was rescued a week later when international forces raided the compound. Cameras captured everything, the locked rooms, the bruised workers, the fake computers running scam scripts. The world watched in horror as the truth finally came out. Arun's message had reached millions. He was gone, but his words had survived. News channels across the world repeated his last act of courage. Candlelight vigils were held in his memory. Students, activists, and survivors spoke his name. Arun didn't die for money, one headline read. He died for truth. Wei held a small photo of him during the interview. "He was just a kid who wanted to help his family," he said, voice trembling. "Now he's helping thousands he never even met." Governments cracked down on the syndicates. Raids across Southeast Asia freed hundreds of victims. Leaders of the scam networks were arrested, their mansions sealed. Interpol files filled with names, faces of monsters who had hidden behind screens. The world finally saw what had been hidden for years: digital slavery disguised as business. Arun's parents watched the news silently, tears flowing down their faces. They had lost their son, but not his voice. His father whispered, "He made the world listen." His mother simply held his photo and said, "You came home, my son, in every story told about you." At his college, a wall mural was painted in his memory, his face surrounded by wings of light. Underneath it read, "He gave his life for the truth." Months later, Wei launched a foundation called Project Arun. Its mission, to rescue and rehabilitate victims of online human trafficking. Survivors became volunteers, helping others like them find their way back. Arun's story was printed in brochures, shown in seminars, and shared online to warn others of digital slavery. In schools, his name became a lesson, a reminder that not every job offer is real, and not every dream leads to safety. Governments collaborated with NGOs, tech companies built filters, and awareness campaigns spread like wildfire. Arun's death had sparked a revolution, Every time a victim was rescued, Wei would whisper to the photo in his office, "We did it, brother. You're still saving lives." During the demolition of one of the scam compounds, workers found something scratched on a wall. "If anyone reads this, tell my mother I didn't give up." The world stopped for a moment. It was Aaron's handwriting. That single sentence broke millions of hearts. Newspapers printed it, survivors carried it, and the internet turned it into a symbol of resistance. His mother kept that message framed in their home. Every morning she lit a candle and prayed for every child still trapped somewhere. "You're saving them still," she whispered, in that small room, with a candle flickering under Arun's photo. One could feel something powerful, as if his soul still lingered, protecting others from the same fate. 1 year later, Wei stood at a conference surrounded by cameras. Behind him stood rescued victims, free, alive, hopeful. He raised his voice. Aaron's story began with a lie, but it ended with the truth that changed the world. Remember his name. Remember his courage. And remember, silence kills, but awareness saves. The hall erupted in applause. Outside, the night sky over Cambodia glittered with thousands of city lights. The wind whispered softly, as if carrying a message only the brave could hear. Aaron's spirit lived on, not in sorrow, but in light. And as the screen fades to black, one question lingers. Would you recognize the trap before it closes on you? This was the story of Arun, the boy whose dream became a warning to the world. He may be gone, but his courage lives in every heart that refuses to be silenced. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it. Talk about it, because awareness can save lives. Maybe someone you love. Subscribe to Unseen Mystery, where truth speaks louder than lies. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware.